Hey friends, it's Kevin. Welcome to the Kevin Dairaghi Show. Today is awesome. We're going to talk with Antoine Martel. So this guy, he's done like hundreds and hundreds of houses, right? So I think to the level of 650, 700 type houses. He's taught people nationwide how to do this. His model is a little bit interesting, how it starts. It really is a fun conversation. It went super fast talking with him. So guys, hopefully you'll enjoy it as well. Let's get into our conversation with Antoine. Hey friends, it's Kevin Dairaghi. Welcome to the Kevin Dairaghi Show. I have such a special guest for you today. So this is a very special day. So 1 year ago today was when I did my first interviews with outside people. So Dave O and Sean McCloskey, 1 year ago today, I started those interviews. And today, so I don't think I told you this, but today's actually my birthday. That's why it's significant. So I did those, and today we have our guest, Antoine Martel. Antoine, how you doing, buddy?
Very good. Thanks for having me, and happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's not supposed to like pull that way, but it is one of those. I don't know how you work. So you've done hundreds of closings, right? I always like to find cool days to close on. Either where the numbers match, like 12/22, or it's like, oh, this is my wife's birthday, my birthday. Like I try to close on days that are significant.
Yeah.
Are you like that, or are you just like, pick a day?
Oh God, dude, I don't know how many deals you've done, but like I've done like 650 of my own like fix and flip deals, and then at a point it just becomes numbers on a bloody spreadsheet. So. No, I have not thought about that before, but hey, whatever floats your boat,
Well, I'm an ex-engineer, so like numbers, I need numbers to look good on the paper.
Yeah.
So be it.
Gotcha. All good.
Right, so let me set you up. So you just said it. You've done 650 plus. You have a nationwide coaching program. I think I looked it up. Your podcast, which isn't even like. It's still there, but I think you're top 2% of podcasts worldwide.
Awesome.
I mean, you are kind of a stud in the space. You started Flip Systems, and that's how I got to know you, right? Through Dave O and the Cash Flow Nation world. So, damn, you've done a lot of stuff, Antoine.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a long time. 10 years.
10 years. All right, so let's start this, though. How did you get into real estate? Why real estate? How'd you start?
So it was 2015. I went to a Fortune Builders event. They were like one of the biggest real estate education companies. I went there, me, my brother, and my dad, we went to a Fortune Builders event over a weekend. And from that point, I kind of became addicted. I was a junior in college at the time. So I kind of became addicted to, or like sophomore going into junior year. So I had 2 years left on college. I graduated in 2017. And at that point, I just became addicted to real estate investing. So much so that for my junior and senior year, I moved all my classes from 9 to 3 till like 4 to 9. So like after like night classes pretty much. So that during the day, I would actually go on Bigger Pockets and network with people in and around LA. I would just DM the living, all the rules and regulations you see on Bigger Pockets are because of me. Because I would just spam the hell out of everybody. And like, I would just be like, hey, I was just like leveraging the hell out of the college kid thing. I'm a college kid. I go to LMU college in LA, and I'm looking to invest in real estate. Would love to pick your brain. I'm part of the Fortune Builders program, blah, 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 blah. And I would just take people to coffee, lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever the hell it was. To just pick people's brains and be like, how are you doing it? How are you getting? How'd you get into LA market? And after doing that for around 3 months, and after meeting with like 100 people, I even started my own meetup and stuff just to like meet people locally. And I thought that was the way to get my first deal. I realized that none of the people I had met were having success investing in and around LA locally, especially on Bigger Pockets. They were trying to invest locally. They had been looking for a deal for a year, 6 months, 2 years, 4 years, and they had never pulled the trigger on anything. It was too competitive, yada, yada. And then I started meeting some people that were doing stuff out of state, and I started picking their brains at lunch and coffee and whatever. They're like, yeah, I did 2 deals last month. I did 1 deal last month. We've done 12 this year so far. And I'm like, whoa, these people in LA are not having any success at all. And the people who are like looking out of state, which was a small minority at that point, this is 2015 to 2017, those people are actually having success and making money. Sure, it's smaller profit margins. They're investing in St. Louis, Memphis, Cleveland, whatever. But they're making money. So I was like, all right, I need to kind of change my path and pivot a little bit here. So from learning through Fortune Builders and through all this other like meetings that I had, I started looking at deals out of state, and I chose Memphis, Tennessee. And I chose a bunch of different cities: Memphis, Cleveland, St. Louis, Akron. And I started calling property management companies, real estate agents, and just cold calling from when 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. till my classes began, just like cold calling, power dialing, hitting the phones. And I did that for a couple of months until I finally found somebody that, a real estate agent who was investor friendly, had a property management connection, real estate construction connection, all that kind of stuff, and kind of built my first team. And then we started looking for deals from there. And, kind of we did some like investing with other people from 2015 to 2017, just like co-investing joint ventures with other people's deals. And then we finally bought our first deal, right before I graduated college, me and my dad. And we bought our first deal like beginning of 2017. And by the end of the year, we had bought 8 houses in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow. So it took a little bit to get the first one, but you're also trying to try out the model.
It took 2 years.
And you were doing this from California at the time?
From California, yep.
What's funny is actually right before we got on, I got a virtual wholesaler called me. Like, it was Minnesota. I'm like, Minnesota? Like, they're like, hey, have you heard of wholesaling? I'm like, I might have heard of this word before. And they were like, oh, here's a great area in, mispronounce the street. You're like, I got it.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah.
But that's how you started, just cold calling literally all day for months.
For a couple months. Yep, exactly. I think it was hundreds of phone calls, because also it's not just one phone call. Then you start meeting with them, then they start sending you deals, then you start looking at those deals, and then you start, not really making offers, but just like trying to build that team. Because then you wanted to build not only the realtor, but the property manager that maybe liked to work with that realtor. And then sometimes you would find 2 groups of people that didn't want to work with one another. Then you have to restart. And so it's like, what the hell? So it took months to kind of find like one unified team that actually wanted to work, with one another.
And then you were just, were they the ones bringing the properties to you, or were you looking for the properties and then they were backing it up?
A little bit of both. So I was like looking, once I found the team in Memphis, I had him send me deals on market, off market. MLS Drip was set up, and then I would just analyze deals all day. So everything kind of transitioned from networking to analyzing deals and making offers. He started sending the deals to me, and I would analyze them, get them back to him, and we just started submitting offers. I think like the first like 5-6 houses we bought were just like deals that he had pocket listing wise. He was one of the youngest broker owners in the country at the time.
Oh, wow.
So he was like a young stud in the space, and because he was very similar age to me. I was just graduating college. He was a couple years older than me, I think like 2 years older than me. And he had 250 agents below him in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. So he had a lot. He had like 4 offices, and he was like, 24 years old. It was crazy. So, me and him just hit it off because we were young and hungry and trying to make money. And I ended up working with him for many, many years until he sold his brokerage to Keller Williams. But,
that's a good run.
Yep.
Dude, it actually, just knowing what you ended up building, right? So what was your degree in?
My degree was entrepreneurship.
Okay. That makes sense now.
Yep.
Because like what you eventually build with flip systems, like you have all these fingerprints already started in this phase. So how did you go from that guy, right, to creating this nationwide flip systems, right?
Yeah. So All right. So in 2017, I did 7 deals with my family, right? We bird these properties. Then from there, we kind of ran out of money, my family and I. So we just kept burring. We were only leaving in like 5 grand in per deal. Like we didn't have much money to start off with, by the way. It was like $40,000 was the initial investment. My dad had a full-time job. My mom was working full-time, but we were living in, San Francisco. They were living in San Francisco. So it was very expensive. So we had a little bit of money to spend on these deals. Our cash, after 12 months of reinvesting, we only were able to get to 8, and then we ran out of money. Then we were like, all right, what the hell do we do now? And what we ended up doing was actually selling those houses. I pretty much made like a MailChimp account, and then I downloaded my mom's, my brother's, mine, and my dad's emails, like all the anybody they've ever emailed ever. And I made a MailChimp, made a little WordPress website, and I put a house on it. I was like, we got to sell one of these things. Like, there must be people, because I met so many people in LA that were like, I would love to buy something out of state, but not fix and flip, like just something like passive cash flow. I'm like, oh, so like something turnkey and da 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 da. And I knew there were some turnkey providers out there already. And I was like, all right, I can just I got a couple thousand here's my email list, a couple thousand emails, boom, sent off an email. A week later, house was sold from just that email list. And I was like, whoa. And I called my dad. I'm like, dude, I just sold the house, no realtor fees. I just got a template contract online. He signed it. He sent in earnest money. Like, we're going to close in 30 days and we're going to make, 20 grand in profit, whatever. Pay off the loan and get our money back, and we can buy 2 or 3 more of these things. And so that's when the light bulb went off. And so from 2017 till, 2020, things got a little bit weird with the interest rates. 2021. So from 2017 to 2021, 2022, we did like 650 deals of our own. And then kind of when the interest rates were spiking, I mean, everybody just kind of was like sitting back and just waiting to see what the hell was going to happen, because nobody really knew. So that year was kind of a dead year. But then after that, we kind of had a decision to make. So because at the height, like 2020, we had like 250 houses in inventory for Martel Turnkey. After the next couple of years, we just sold those houses off. We sold them to our investors that were partnered up with us, refinanced a bunch of them. We still have some of those today, but we had a lot of cash back. We were just sitting on cash when the interest rates were spiking up, thankfully. And then we were like, all right, now that the interest rates are kind of like get a little bit more normalized, what do we want to do? Like, we can go do more Martel Turnkey deals. We can maybe teach people how to invest in real estate and do what we're doing, because we've gotten a lot of like requests for that, even from our turnkey providers that are like, all right, cool, now can you teach me how to do that? Like, or they would go and do it themselves and they would mess up and then they would lose a ton of money. Or do we start like a real estate fund? Do we like pool? So we were like debating on these 3 different ideas because we just had money in the bank and we could kind of think about what to do next. And we chose to do the flip system route. I already had like a small education training program, but it wasn't successful at all. I mean, it was successful for me. I was making, 30 grand a month selling education, but my clients were not having success. Like I would just give them, it would just be like me and you sitting on Zoom once a week. Kevin, go do this. Cool. See you next week. Kevin, do this. And, they would never do it. And so I was like, there must be a better way to train these folks, especially 9-to-5ers. And I'm like, they need actual practical resources, not just the training and education. So that's where the idea of Flip System came about. I tripled the price for the training just to compensate for it. And I thought it was going to be insane to charge 15 grand to get someone into the training program, and people started buying it. And so that's how Flip System was created, to be like a education program that connects you with teams on the ground. You get access to my software that I've used to flip 650 deals, and you get just thrown in, you get all the training and education and all the videos. So that's kind of what's been happening for the last 2 years. And then more recently, this year in 2025, we actually launched our real estate fund. So I ended up doing the idea number 3 anyways.
Like all the things.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we still have, Martel Turnkey is still active. Flip System is still active. It's just been a lot of competition in that space recently, the last 2 years, just with all the education programs. So we're changing some things around there to make it more affordable for everybody. And then the real estate fund was just launched as well. So, we're raising money from accredited investors to buy multifamily properties in the Midwest.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So why don't I don't know if we said it. So why do you buy in the Midwest for the most part?
Midwest, as you know, it has. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Midwest. So first of all, I've only ever invested in the Midwest, unless you call Tennessee the South. But the Midwest, or Missouri and Tennessee, those are the places that I've always been investing in. I've never invested where I've lived, California. Now I live in Miami. I've never invested in any of these places, Texas. The reason why is the rent to value ratios, and the cash on cash return, the purchase prices, just like the amount of revenue that you can generate from an asset compared to the purchase price is crazy. There's no other place like it in the country. And so I've really, really liked that for the single family home side of things. And then for the multifamily side of things, a lot of people do multifamily syndications in Texas, Florida, more markets that are kind of growing in population. But I found that those markets also have over competition, over saturation, huge compression in cap rates. We're buying stuff in Chicago, Illinois, Detroit, Michigan, St. Louis, Missouri, and buying multifamily assets in these kinds of markets where we can buy apartment buildings for 7 to 9% cap rates, 7 to 10% cap rates. They're stable. Yeah, the markets aren't growing hysterically, but they're also not, losing a ton of people, or the property taxes aren't tripling every year or doubling every year like what we're seeing in Texas. So just super stable. There's not so much ups and downs with these markets. Lower price tags to get in. We're buying a 26 unit apartment building in Chicago, Illinois for $2.6 million. So $100,000 a door, which is very, very good for like a number 3 city in the US. So yeah, for those reasons, we like to invest in the Midwest. And then you also have the landlord tenant laws are favorable in most of these places.
Not Chicago.
Not Chicago and not Detroit, but most of the Midwest is going to be your red states where it's going to be good landlord friendly as well.
Good. Now explain that, because that does make a lot of sense why Missouri is good, Illinois is border, but what does that mean?
Yeah, so for me, I always look at the eviction, like how long does an eviction take? Like if we need to go through full blown eviction, how long does that take? So in Missouri, we're looking at like 30, 45 days. Tennessee, same thing. If we're looking at Detroit, we're looking at like 3 months. And then if we're in Illinois, especially Chicago, we're looking at 6 months. So that's kind of how I dictate it. Yeah. It's pretty bad, but we put this apartment building under contract. My first thing was like, what about the evictions? How long is it going to take? We get on a call with property management and they're like, I'm like, what's your eviction rates? How long does it take? Boom, 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 boom. And then I told, my business partner on the real estate fund side, I'm like, hey, as long as the numbers work, if you put in, instead of a 30-day worst case eviction, you put in a 6 months in the numbers and the numbers still work, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay if the numbers still make sense, but it has to. But, in places like California or, other bluer states, New York, just like you can't make the numbers work anyway. And then you have bad evictions. Yeah. So, you got to have some give and take. It can't be all negative and all downside.
On our conversation with Dr. Teresa Martin from New York, she was talking about, so say I'm trying to evict you or get you out or something like that.
Yeah.
They actually will hire an attorney for you, and I have to pay for mine out of pocket. It's one of those like, wait, what?
Wow.
Like, it's talk about flipping the whole.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you not paying me, you now have legal fees being covered, and you're able to live there for 6 months, a year without paying me. Like,
amazing. Yeah, we need to move to New York. Wow.
That sucks. It's a real thing, professional tenants. Like, they learn all the loopholes and how to live for free.
Yep. Yeah. It was the same thing in I spent most of my life in California, and it was the same thing out there, too. Just people not being able to evict tenants, and like even in their Airbnbs, people would get a 30-day lease on the Airbnb and be like, I live here now, see ya. And they would never be able to get them out. So there were some very famous stories about that happening. So,
oh my gosh, squatters' rights and
that's insane.
Have you got into Airbnbs or vacation rentals?
I have been a very boring man. Sorry to tell you. There's been so many. There are obviously so many shiny objects in the real estate space. sub two, Airbnb, ground up construction, all this kind of stuff. I've been the most boring person ever. So 2017 to all the way through 2022 was all single family houses. I didn't touch anything else. Didn't even start the education company or anything until 2022. So literally heads down, doing as many single family houses as I possibly could for all those years in a row. I did in 2019 buy like a couple apartment buildings just because they kind of fell in my lap. So that was good. That was a great experience that I got. I didn't raise any money, so it wasn't a fund or a syndication that I'm doing now. So it's a little bit different. But never got into the Airbnb space. It's only been single family and then now just multifamily, which to me is just a bunch of singles on, under one roof. So pretty much the same thing, just a little bit different on the numbers and the financing.
Dude, that's fantastic. A lot of these successful people like really do niche.
Yeah.
Find your niche, and the fact that you're able to do that until you do so many that it's just rinse and repeat.
Exactly.
I like your strong value of building a team and having the infrastructure together. That really sounds like the first thing you do: analyze your market and then find the right people, and then just.
Kevin, I could find you 9,000 good deals this afternoon. It's all irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So, and that's the biggest thing with new people that want to get into real estate. They're like, Kevin, first thing I need is a deal. No, you need Kevin first, and then you can find whatever deal, because if you have the right team on the ground, they can take a deal that doesn't make sense and turn it into a deal, right? So for me, it always is team first, relationship first. And I feel like that is tough for a lot of 9-to-5ers. They just don't have the time to focus on that. They only have the time to, and that's why Martel Turnkey or whatever, buying turnkey rentals is a great option too, because they just buy something, it's already done, property management in place, tenants in place. I think that's why that business has done so well. Because if you want to go do it yourself, it's a lot of time and effort, and there's no way to stand out from the competition. I mean, how many calls do you get a day from out-of-state investors that want to buy houses? Okay, cool. What do they do to stand out for you? It's like send you money right to your bank account. I mean, they have to do something crazy at this point. But if I call you and I say, hey, I've done 1,000 deals, blah, 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 let's get on a Zoom call, you're going to get on the Zoom call, right? So that's also been the benefit of Flip System that I've tried to tell people. It's like, yeah, you're paying for my relationships, but I'm the only one that can get us in the door here. Because I can call and build teams across the country because of the Rolodex that I have. And we're like coming as a Flip System as a unit. So us as 1,000 customers are going to come to Chicago and we need a property management company there, et cetera. So yeah, going as the 900-pound gorilla into a new territory really helps too.
So do you do any like speaking? Do you still have a reel or anything like that?
So I used to have a meetup when I was in LA. I had it for a couple of years and then I shut it down maybe like 2019, which thank God I did. COVID blew that up anyways. And then I moved to Miami post-COVID. So in 2021, 2022, I moved to Miami, Florida. I haven't done anything like that here. Because the Miami market's a little bit different than LA. Miami, you can still find houses for $500K in the suburbs. LA, you couldn't even buy a shed for $300,000. So people were forced, a lot of the networking was like, we got to go out of state. But here in Miami, it's people, there still is actually a way to invest in Miami real estate, flipping houses, Airbnb, short-term rentals. In LA, it was like, after a couple of years of going to these networking events, a lot of the talk transitioned to we need to invest out of state. So I haven't done anything like that recently or in the last couple of years.
I don't think you've needed to.
No.
Because you've kind of built a pretty good name out there.
I mean, I think a lot of the business has transitioned to be a lot of Zoom and a lot of social media too. I feel like the social media in the space has really blown up as well. And then, it depends on the business too and the need for it, right? So like Martel Turnkey has a ton of organic and referrals. Like it doesn't really do any kind of marketing. It's all organic. Flip System does a ton of paid ads to attract new people. And then the real estate fund is a lot of relationships or meeting people around where I live, or when I travel, I go take people out to dinner that have money, want to invest. And it's just very a grassroots, like referral based business.
Isn't it funny sometimes? Like here, we're doing like $1 million all these things, and how does somebody do it? It's like a lunch, a dinner, having a coffee or a couple drinks, and then you're like, all right, I like this guy. And it's like,
it's insane.
It's marketing when you think about it. It's like,
it's insane. So we started this fund January 1st of this year. We have had 2 buildings under contract. One we backed out of. Second one we're raising money for right now. And I was talking with my team, and we started running an ad to like raise money. I'm like, let's try it and see what happens. We ran an ad. It was like, just like a photo of the building. This accredited investors only. This is the return on investment, cash on cash return, whatever. 3 to 5 year hold, $25K minimum investment, all this kind of stuff. Ad did okay. After a week, I shut it down. I'm like, there's no way this could be that expensive to find accredited investors. I pick up my phone, refilm an ad, and I say, hey, I'm in Miami, have an apartment building under contract. If you want to invest with me and you're accredited, let me take you out to dinner. Guess how well that ad did? Destroyed. It's like my lead cost went down by a third, and I almost have to shut off the ad because it's working so well. It's not scalable, but I also don't need 9,000 people. I just need 9 people with a couple $100,000, and I'm good. So I went on a lunch today. After this, I have 2 dinners I have to go to. So there's 3 meetings today only, and I'm spending $50 a day on an advertisement for like a couple of weeks. So it's crazy. That's why I've had to reschedule so many times.
It worked out.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's just, and I think like that's just like everybody in the real estate space and like, realtors posting on social media, they all post the same stuff. Property sold, property under contract, new listing. It's like no one cares about that. And then with the real estate fund, all these fund managers post the same exact thing. It's like no one cares about that. They want to invest in people that they like. Doesn't care if you have $2 billion under management. Sure, they might invest with you still because you're a gorilla, but it's also nice to like be close to the person you're investing and build a relationship and grow together. Because a lot of people investing in these deals haven't invested before and they're like scared, and then there's like, it's a small deal. They can comprehend it. It's not some big like $1 billion acquisition. So yeah, going against the grain has really worked for me in my career.
Well, I mean, that totally jives with obviously a lot of stuff we do here. But the fact of relationships, people want to work with people they know, like, and trust, right? If you can make them laugh, bam, like, so much there. Like all the other stuff, it's credibility, right? It's the, hey, all right, you know what you're talking about. Fantastic. And then it's like, all right, I like hanging out with this guy. I believe he's looking out for my best interest. Like people overcomplicate this. Now, before I jump off the real estate side, you also, I would say, if I would wrap up kind of the flip system model, like your philosophy here is a little bit different than other people, right? So one, it's focused Midwest with landlord-friendly rules, right? But then also on your flips, you're not trying to make $30, $40, $50, $100,000 a flip, right? You're targeting houses under the 100K, adding value, and then you're happy with a 10, 15 turn. How did that come about? That concept?
Yeah. So for me, so for every business that I guess every business in general, you have certain bottlenecks, right? And some people enjoy a bottleneck of deals, meaning like, and that's how it is in like the multifamily space. Which is why I have somebody else finding deals, because I can't stand it. It takes 3 months to find a deal. And so, all right, what I'm getting at is there's certain constraints in every single business. And I think some people who do like the luxury flicks and flips, they're kind of like constraining the very first piece of the entire business. They're trying to be different than everybody else to find more deals and get more deal flow in. And for me, I didn't want deal flow to be an issue. I wanted to open up the floodgates as much as I possibly could and be more like, and then figure out the other stuff within the business. So like, if I just open up the floodgates, what could I do to like get every single deal possible on Zillow, on the MLS? What deals could I buy where I could make the numbers make sense? And then I can use my brain to figure out the rest of the stuff, the rest of the bottlenecks. Like, how do I reduce these costs, or how do I streamline this, or use automations for this? And so that's what I would enjoy doing more than like analyzing 400 deals to find one good one. I was like, how do I analyze 5 deals to get one? Okay, cool. I just compress my profit margins a little bit, but then I can save that margin by doing this automation, or, hiring people in the Philippines instead of US based, or doing this. So that's the whole premise of it. It was just like when I tried to hit like $20,000 to $30,000 profit margins in the Midwest on my turnkey fix and flips, no deals would come about. And then boom, as soon as I was like at the 10 to 15 and I was offering cash, I was getting every single deal. Literally, I had a line of credit with a family office. We would get a house under contract, closing in 3 days. Inspector would go next day. I would request the money from the family office. They would send it, and I would resend it to the title company, and boom, close. And so for that, people were willing to give me, eventually you can kind of get a little bit higher, or closer to the 15K profit margin versus 10. When you're first starting, you're kind of if you want to get into a deal quickly, you kind of got to go in for that 10K profit margin if you're on a $120,000 deal. So it's kind of like a 10%, maybe $12,000. So 10% profit margin. Now, the next question that people are listening, they're going to be like, Antoine, $12,000. Oh my God, you must have had so much, you have one plumbing issue, Antoine, and things go out of, whatever, you lose all your profit. Okay. Out of 650 deals, my variability of rehab costs was 3%. So I was 97% accurate because I had to do a study to get a line of credit. And so they had an auditor come in to audit all my financials. And that's what they found. So if you have a $20,000 rehab budget, okay, you can budget up, upwards of 3%, which is, barely anything. So my construction was that's what I'm saying though. My construction was so dialed in that I was willing to take the risk on the front end because I had my construction dialed in. And I think a lot of people focus on, how do I fix the front? Oh, I'm going to get a deal where I can totally mess up and everything will go fine. It's like, okay, then you're going to spend your time here trying to find the magic deal. But I'm like, screw that. I'll just take any deal and I'll make sure with 97% accuracy that it is profitable. So that's been and then also too, you get to compensate it with volume. So, instead of 1 deal a year, you have 100 deals a year. So then some deals can lose money. That is okay because you're playing a volume game at that point. So for all of those reasons, we've built the business that way.
Which it really is. It sounds like it's a nice way for people to get in as long as they're willing to play I don't call it the shotgun effect, but you shoot more out there.
Yeah.
And if you have a W-2, it's not your main income.
Yeah.
It's gravy. Is that?
Yep. I agree. And also too, it's just lower, trying to make a $30,000 profit on a $100,000 house. Good luck to you. You're going to be waiting all year, and maybe you'll do 2 or 3 deals a year that are home runs, but I could make more money than you in a single month by buying 6 houses than it's going to take you it depends. And then everybody's situation is different too. That was one of the things with fortune builders as well. They kind of just talk to everybody that they were in the same position, but with Flip System, it's a little bit more catered. So okay, cool. You work a full-time job, but you do have flexible hours. You're willing to spend 20 hours a week on this business. Cool. Then we can take on more deals and go for more of a volume approach. All right, you're 9 to 5 and you don't have any time at all. All right, cool. Let's be a little bit more picky then, with the deals that we do, or you're limited on budget. Okay, let's wait till we find something that's really, really checks every single box, 10 out of 10 versus 8 out of 10. Because you don't have much money to risk at this point. So yeah, there's a lot more customizations that come along with it too, with our coaching business now than some of the others in the past.
Awesome. So you've done all this, right? Over this decade, I guess a couple questions here. One, is your dad and brother and mom, are they still tied into the business or?
Yep. So my mom runs Martel Turnkey. My dad helps with pretty much all the business, very much like me, so all over the board. And then my brother has worked at all the different companies that we've had. But more recently, he moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and wants to do his own thing. So that's with him as as well. So that was just the last couple months. But he's been working with us for the last 10 years. Eventually, he was like, all right, I'm sick of this real estate thing. Let me go do something else. So he's trying some new stuff out.
It does that. There's good and bad days with real estate.
Yep, that's for sure.
That's good. So when you started, did you want this to be a family business, or how did that happen?
Yes, I did. I mean, it kind of just started naturally like that because when I started, I didn't have any money. So my dad was the one that had some cash in the bank from his job, and we were able to use that. And I knew that my dad wanted to quit his job and work full time. I know that was kind of his dream because he was working for 30 years before that and traveling on the road every week. I knew that was his dream. So I knew that was kind of going to happen. I was like, hey, anything, if I take his money and we do something together or whatever, he's partnered up on it. The first thing he's going to do once it's making some money is he's going to quit his job and come join it full time. So, I know that, I knew that was going to happen and we were going to do it together.
So I have to ask, because a lot of people, when they start real estate, they want to bring in a partner, or it's a couple people, or, like, hey, let's all pool it, which is great. But it also isn't. So say you make your 10, 15 on a house, but now you have to divvy it up 3 or 4 ways. Like, how did that happen at first? Because that's...
Good question. So when we first started, it was obviously just me and my dad's money for the first 8 houses. After that, once we started Martel Turnkey, I started raising. So I actually called all those people I met in LA before that were struggling to do deals. And I called them and said, hey, like, how many deals do you do this year? Nothing. Still 3 years in a row. I'm like, all right, man, I have a deal. I just did 10 in the last 12 months. They're like, 10 in the last 12 months. Their brains exploded. And I was like, yeah, you want to partner up with me on the next one? And they were like, yeah, how do we do it? Yes, please. My wife would love that. And so, we would go for lunch or Zoom or whatever. And, I would present to them the deal. I'm like, hey, I flipped like 3 houses on this street in the last 12 months. I have another one now. You fund the deal. I'll do all the work and we'll split the profits 50-50. And so that's how I started to raise private money from folks. So I never had like a 3 or 4 way split. I was always making 50% of the profits, but it took none of my own money. So now it was infinitely scalable for me. Again, we were only making, $6,000, let's say. And, some houses we would destroy and make $30,000. Sure, those still happen, but we were doing $6,000. And then eventually we would change the model a little bit, to where we were raising, private money in terms of not a joint venture or profit share, but just like an interest rate. So we would change it to be like a 12% interest rate, 8% interest rate, and just pay people on a monthly basis. Then they didn't have to know the ups and downs with the deals. They were just getting their check no matter what happened. So we eventually changed from that kind of like 50% profit share down to, and then, then our profit per deal went from like $6K per deal to like $9K per deal. So we were still making most of the profit. The investor was making a couple $1,000.
Yeah, but you also had all the ownership and risk. I see that a lot when people start 50-50s, those type of partnerships. And then once you learn the private money truth, it's like, oh man, you're leaving a lot on the table for these other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you can't keep those old investors because they're used to the good days. It's like, It's like,
we had a lot of those people that were like, what? No way. And I'm like, dude, you were making 50% return on your money on an annual basis. Like you were getting a gold mine.
Tell me anything else you could do this on.
Exactly.
So all this said, it sounds like you're pretty driven, right? I could see you working in the morning, at night, all day. Like, I've already seen those patterns, kind of what you're saying. If you're willing to do cold calling that solid, you kind of have this go mentality is what it sounds like. So that is awesome in the business world. What I'm curious about is how it affects the rest of your life, right? Because, our 3 tenets, right, is most important real estate is between your ears. Your personal drives your professional, and it's all about relationships. In this relationship, there's 3 main relationships: relationship with yourself, relationship with others, and relationship with things. So like going into the money and the career and that side of it, right? Those are all relationship with things. how did your other stuff work?
Yeah.
Like, were you married at this time? Were you dating? Were you single? Like, what's that?
Yeah.
That all like?
Yeah, good question. So last 10 years has just been dating or single. And yeah, how is it? I mean, damn, I wish I could phone a friend and ask them what they, you know what I mean? I call my mom real quick and see what she says. But like, I mean, there's a couple different ways to think about it. And how should I best say this? So yes, I do work a lot, and I have been for my whole life. You know, very entrepreneurial and stuff like that. And it is not something that I want to change because I enjoy it.
Okay.
And so there is, you know, you're always going to have your parents or your mom or whatever saying you need to take a break and you need to take a vacation, and then you go do that, and then 24 hours in, I'm already like, dude, I'm done. All right, that was great. That was a good vacation. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. You know, so there's been some relationships that really, really want to that really want to pull you down, and that happens with friends, with girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever it may be, that do really want to pull you down. And it's it's like 3 p.m. on Friday and they're already out, or 2 p.m. on a Tuesday and they already want to go to the pool and drink or watch a movie or whatever. So I've had to cut off a lot of those people, whether it's friends or relationships or different things like that. I've had to cut a lot of those out so that I can focus on what I want to do. And I'm just like a natural born entrepreneur. Like, ever since I was 8 years old, we didn't go that far back. It's been mostly real estate, but like ever since I was 8 years old, I was selling stuff. 6 years old, I was selling stuff and working at my mom's, retail store, running the cash register, like all that kind of stuff. So I've been very driven and entrepreneurial my whole entire life. And so I feel like it's just within me. And there definitely is times that I do try to slow down. And one thing that I've done in the last year that I've really never done before is more just listening to how my body is. So I feel like if I have like terrible sleep, for example, and I'm like here, like at the computer, just like nodding off, I'm like, this is pointless. It's not efficient. It doesn't matter what time it is. It could be 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. But it's not me being efficient with my time. I'm going to just cancel all my meetings or move them to another day because this doesn't make sense. Because it's not going to be good. It's not going to be productive for anybody involved. Or I can just skip out on the meetings and run somebody else. So that's something that like took a long time for me to be like, this is inefficient. Before I'd be like, who cares? Power through. You need to get through this. And then, now I've been a little bit more lenient on that kind of path where like, I'm trying to stay almost like it feels like I've given myself a 9 to 5, essentially, where like you have to work from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever the case may be. But it's like, I don't have to. Some days I work all day on Saturday and Sunday. It's like, I can take a Monday and Tuesday off then. And like, but if Monday and Tuesday come around and I feel like I want to grind my ass off, then I can just grind and do whatever I need to do. And so that's kind of my way of doing things for sure. And that's been more recent. Again, that's been in the last 12 months. I've like given myself the liberty to take half an afternoon off or a morning off when I, or sleeping in because I slept horribly. That's why I bought this like Whoop band too, to figure out what the hell is going on. So that is my, my long rant about kind of the journey.
You seem like a pretty regimented fellow. Like, have you read Miracle Morning?
No.
Okay, so it talks about this idea of like when you wake up, you do savers, right? You sit in silence, you do your affirmations, visualizations, exercise, read, write, scribe is there. But it's like you do these things. Do you have like a workout regimen? Do you are you solid on a diet?
Yeah. So very regimented. Jesus.
I kind of figured you were this guy, so.
Yeah, good call. So I definitely love my structure for sure. Like when I'm traveling, it's horrible. Like I probably gain like 10 pounds every time I go on a trip because it's just like if one thing's off, then I'm not doing anything. So I get all my groceries delivered. I pretty much order the same thing every single week. I pretty much cook the same thing for lunch every single day. And then dinner, I'll just eat whatever I left over from lunch. So very, very regiment. It's pretty much just chicken and rice.
I was going to say chicken, rice, maybe broccoli. I was like,
yes,
exactly.
That's literally all I eat. And I just order it every Sunday. I do the Amazon Prime thing, comes to my house Monday morning. Cool, I'm good for the week. And I just order enough for the week. The weekend, I go out, eat out, go to the beach or something like that. And then right again back on Monday. And then workout stuff, I play soccer. So I play like 3-4 times a week. Again, that's kind of like a depending how I feel thing, but Monday, Wednesday, Thursday are typically the days that I play, and then maybe on the weekend. So I play soccer as my workout. I just like getting outside. I don't really like going to the gym, all that much because I like to be away from my phone. If I'm at the gym, every time between sets, I'm kind of like checking stuff. So, I prefer, if I can and my legs can handle it, I'd rather just play soccer every single day and like really get a good escape. And, it's super hot here now, so it's a really good sweat as well.
Dang. Have you got into the pickleball yet?
I've gotten to pickleball a little bit. I have some rackets. We'll sometimes go and play with me and my family on the weekends. And then paddle ball is also really big here.
Oh, I don't know this one.
Yeah, it's like
on the beach?
It's a very European thing. It's paddle. It's like pickleball mixed with kind of like squash. Okay. So there's like, you're in this like glass box essentially. And then it's like kind of like a pickleball court, except you can hit it off the walls and stuff like that. And all that kind of stuff. So that's really fun. And yeah. Oh, I don't know.
All right. Close enough. So this is fun because, a lot of people have a persona, right? And then they don't know, like, if you're an expert here, does it mean you're an expert across the line? And it's like, well, no, like, I'm really good here. But just, it's fun. Like, we don't know each other, like, depth or anything, but it's like, okay, listening to how you're talking and presenting, it's like, okay, he probably has X, Y, Z. It's probably, you probably don't care a lot about, you just need to eat because it's a checkbox activity so you could get back to work. And these are the things that you're doing. It's awesome. It's really cool to see how different people kind of connect their pieces there. It sounds, so single to dating world, right? Which means your family is like your parents and your siblings. Do you, like, I'm married with 3 boys. All the kids play an immense amount of soccer. I didn't grow up with soccer, but now, like, I know so much about the sport, because of and dang, you're saying you're playing that often? That's a lot of running. What's your position? Or do you want me to guess it?
You can guess it, yeah.
I would say being an entrepreneur and a go out there and a hunter and a killer, I'm going to think you're on the forward side of things.
So I play center mid, actually. I've more of
an action all the time.
I pretty much want to be in control of the team the whole time. So that's where the control freak comes out of me. So yeah, you'll see me like, I'll go to pickup games and be like, no, I'm playing center mid. You're going there. And so people know that now because I go to the same place every single week. So people know that now and they're kind of like, all right, Antoine's playing center mid, I guess. And I'm not the fastest guy too. So it's kind of nice. You get to sit in the kind of middle and you just, as long as you're good at passing and keeping the ball and holding off the ball, then you're in pretty good shape. Did
you like Ted Lasso?
I watched a little bit of it. Only a couple episodes. Yeah. I know. Everybody tells me to watch the damn show. So
it's weird. So here you are, single guy, right? So kids, I love for my kids to be able to watch Ted Lasso, but there's like, you don't notice the language or the sexual content until you're like, oh, hold up, kid. Like if they would have done a little bit less of that, like it would be a great thing for so many people.
Oh man.
All right, so I have to bring this up. We've actually been talking a lot about real estate here. So earlier this year, I did a talk about Eads Bridge. So I'll do the summation really quick, but Eads Bridge is here in St. Louis, connecting East and West. It was Manifest Destiny, kind of sea to shining sea, like bringing all this stuff together, right? But crossing the Mississippi here was over a mile long. It had to be tall enough where the steamships could get, and we didn't have the building material to do it, right? So we had stone, wood, and iron, and that couldn't make the distance. The way they solved it was making steel, right? Taking the iron and making it into steel. And then they were able to do this, and now east-west commerce, all this stuff happens, right? But the idea is dream, forge, finish, right? That's the examples we pulled out of the Eads Bridge. But the forging is really the thing that kind of separated this from any other storyline, right? Converting iron to steel, right? So you have to get it hot. You have to have pressure. You have to put in new habits or, additives. And then you also have to pull out the impurities, all the negative stuff. And then you had something that was strong enough to do something different. After they got done making the bridge, they turned it into the trains, and then they turned it into structural steel, which literally made the cities of St. Louis, of actually America. And Carnegie happens to be the guy behind all of this stuff, right? So huge example to watch him. But this forging moment. So looking at what you've made, the houses you've done, all the coaching, the podcast, all the relationships and businesses, what was like the forging moment for you? Like, when were you under the pressure where you're like, hey, I got to figure this out?
Oh man, I think it's happened so many times now for me, for sure. Especially in the last couple of years. I think like I got really, really lucky at the very beginning where like I didn't have any forging until really like the last couple of years, to be honest. I got super lucky right out of college. I mean, the economy's been great from like that whole time, right? 2017 all the way to
after the
dip
there.
Yeah. And so 2017, or so let's just call it 2015, all the way to 2022 was pretty damn good. I mean, COVID at 2020, and then things started to get weird after that. But like, that was a long time to be in business. I mean, you could have done anything and made money throughout those years, right? So pretty much. And it's funny because one of the guys from college that I went to university with, he started another business outside of that, and he got brutally beaten down after starting the business and had to shut down his doors. And I had a coffee with him a couple years after graduating, and I'm like, I'm killing it, man. I'm doing 10 deals a month. I'm da da da. And he's like, cool. You ever you lost money yet, or you have any lawsuits, any like this, any that? And I'm like, no, nothing. No, everything's perfect. This is how business is, right? He's like, oh man. He's like, you've been in business how long, and you haven't had one blimp, one failure, one lawsuit, nope. He's like, I just hope that you get into something sooner rather than later. And I'm like, what? Why the hell would you say that? And he's like, because trust me, you don't get used to the things that are happening. And I was like, all right, buddy, whatever. Kept scaling. I went from 10 houses to 20 houses a month to 30 houses a month. And then, then finally COVID happened, and, I had 250 houses in inventory, and I was like, oh shit. This is what he was talking about. This is what business is like from 2021 till today. Like, I feel like this is how, it's been more bad days than good days for sure for a lot of companies. But, I feel like this is kind of like that resetting, we may see that for the next 2 years as well. But, I think you also go through the forging period when times are bad, not when times are good. And so when times were getting bad and, have been bad or had bad days, or thought about shutting down, Flip System, or thought about shutting down Martel Turnkey, or thought about, do I need to do something else? And, all these kinds of things that kind of run through your mind when like the interest rates are spiking, you're like, what the hell do we do next? And I think that every time you go through a moment like that, and, now over the last couple of years, there's been lots of those moments, with everything happening in the economy. I feel like every time you get through that and get to the other side, you're like, holy shit, I do have this skill set, or holy shit, I can do this by myself, or I do have these like great connections or great relationships. Like that's when those things pull through. It's not when the times are good. It's really when the times are bad. And what I've noticed too is like you can have be growing steadily and nothing ever bad happen to you, or you can crash all the way to the bottom and then you spike up 10 times larger than you were before. So that's something else. Like every bad time, is also nice because there's a silver lining. It can't get worse than where you are right now in that moment. So those are some of the things. And it's really just been the last couple of years where we've just been like getting really like hit hard with multiple different companies and things not going the way you want.
So was it on the scaling side of the companies, or?
I would say that like Martel Turnkey, for example, was a disaster when we had all those houses in inventory, and there was we had all those houses in inventory, and the interest rate started spiking up. And when we bought the properties, we were expecting to sell them at like a 5% interest rate or 4%, whatever. But then it went to 8%, and now all these houses for the turnkey buyers didn't make sense anymore. And we're like, what the hell do we do? So we went to the family office and we said, hey guys, half of these houses are yours where we're partnered up. What do you want to do? We can do a portfolio refi, we can hold them, we can sell them. And they're like, nope, you're selling them. That's what you agreed to do. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, we just had to like power through and sell or die pretty much. And we were able to sell all the houses and pay off like a $10 million line of credit with the family office. Within a couple of months with all this craziness going on, and we just turned on our sales jets. But that was one point where I literally just told her on the phone, I'm like, I can't do it. Like how do you think I'm going to do that with all this shit happening in the market? Like she's like, you'll figure it out. Click.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's that for Martel Turnkey, flip system and the education business, you deal with so many different kind of things as well, because it's more education. It's you're charging $15,000. You're taking a lot of people's capital that they have available, and then people don't have good experiences, and then people want to sue you and all this kind of stuff. And you're like, God, is it worth it to go through all this pain? And like you have these 97% of people that are happy with the service and they do like it. And then you have the 3% that are just like, just want to burn you down. And that never happened to us at Martel Turnkey. I mean, there was some complaints and stuff like that, but they knew that they were like buying real estate and buying a house. And so, but we would never like charge for the service. So it was kind of like, you can't really get mad at us, buddy. Versus flip system.
We're helping you. Like,
yeah, exactly. Versus flip system where people, really education, they'll go after you for forever. So yeah,
so those are fun, right? These are character building moments.
Very much so. Yeah, you have to look at them that way. I know it's very, very challenging when you're in the middle of it, and like especially when you have like all of your companies, or like if you have like multiple different things going on and they're all in the gutter. That is like, and that's happened multiple times over the last couple of years, just with like nothing freaking working at all. And really had to look back and be like, all right, cool. Where's Indeed.com? I'll start applying for jobs. And then, and then you're like, yeah. And then, yeah.
But see, that's the gut check, right? And that's when somebody like the veteran, like that's what makes them a veteran is they've seen the good days, the bad days. Yeah. When I was going in volume, it was a veteran investor was like, hey man, you need to slow down a little bit. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I was doing the 10, I was doing the 12 a month, you're like, man. And he's like, dude, you're redlining. Like you're not.
Yeah.
It's one of those like, okay, looking back, you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. And I feel like you have to kind of go through that experience to get that experience to become, and then, there's so many quotes that are like, the only reason your business fails or only reason you fail is because you stop or you quit. And so that would just keep running through my mind every single day. It's like, cool, I just pivot. It's not shutting it down. It's just pivot. It's not shutting down. It's pivot.
So I love this question, and you just kind of jumped in front of it. But is there a quote or a poem or a saying or like some words that you hang on those low days that you're like, okay, this is this is what I say or this is what I do, affirmation.
Yep.
What is it that you go to?
Yeah, it would probably be that. It was like the only you cannot quit if you cannot lose if you don't give up. So, it's like giving up would be going and applying for a job, but you cannot quit if you don't give up. Or you cannot, I think it's, you cannot fail if you don't give up. So pretty much that just kept me going, just saying that every single day. There's days you don't even want to wake up and face the music that day. So, but you have to keep doing it. You have to keep waking up every single day, no matter what you do, even if you just do a little bit of stuff just to push the needle along. And the problem is that, during those times, I've also found like walking away from work helps a lot. So like going, it would be more beneficial to not respond to anybody, not respond to texts, emails, phone calls, no Zoom meetings, no nothing, and go for a walk for freaking 10 hours and just be in your thoughts and think and, let things stir around, or just like getting away from the work actually allows you to see more clearly about what's going on in the business and without the emotional capability. But that's like the hardest thing to do, because for me, when I'm in those dire situations, I'm just like, no, I need to overwork. Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier. It's that effective and efficient work.
Yeah.
I can sit in front grinding on numbers, but if I'm mistyping, if I'm doing, who cares? Like,
it doesn't matter.
Is any good.
Yep, exactly.
Good. So then one last question. But if you could go back and give yourself advice at any part of your life or to somebody like you, what advice would you give yourself?
I would probably say to get to a bigger boat faster. So, for example, like I should have started this fund like 8 years ago instead of right now. There's been a lot of stuff I've learned from growing those companies. It's helped me with my resume. It's helped me with the education business. Has helped me with sales and marketing and automation, like tons of different ways. But I think that a lot of people stay in their boat a little bit too long, and without looking at the bigger picture and sitting back and looking at the bigger picture. Like, I have a fix and flip business. Cool. My goal is to be a billionaire. Okay. What billionaire has became a billionaire by flipping houses? This many of them. Okay, cool. I need to do something else. And so having that like real talk with yourself, and then being really honest about your goals too, because even just saying that, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, all right, cool. But you tell that to your therapist and she's like, well, really, billionaire, like, what would you be okay with? And I'm like, no, that's not how I want to think. So, yeah. So, and I think so being really honest with your goals, and then like looking at what business you are in, if you are listening and you are a business owner or you want to start a business, like what relationships do you have that puts you in the biggest boat possible? Like, who are the people who are making billions of dollars a year? And there's like, it is the hedge funds. It is the people who run real estate funds or REITs or all those kind of people that manage other people's money. Warren Buffett, for example, he manages other people's money. That's what they do. And so I think like the sooner, I was more close to being billionaire status at Martel Turnkey, raising other people's money to buy houses, than I was at Flip System teaching other people how to invest in real estate. That's kind of what I would go back and do, and try to just get to a bigger boat as soon as I possibly could, instead of going from a small boat to a small boat, which is kind of like what Martel Turnkey to Flip System was. Or maybe I thought it was a little bit bigger of a boat. But now with the real estate fund, I mean, it is the biggest boat that you could possibly be in. And so long as you believe in yourself, and, once you get into a really, really big boat and you actually start meeting people, you're like, hey, wait a minute. Like, I can do this. It's the same thing. Yeah, I have to, put a collar shirt on instead, but all right. That's all I have to do. I know it's pretty scary to put on a collar shirt.
I don't know if you're much of a collar shirt kind of guy.
I transform, okay, Kevin?
Because I'm like, some people dress up. I'm like, oh no, it's not that kind of show, man. Like, we're pretty good here. But
that's
hey,
funny.
and so thank you for jumping on and sharing
Of
some of this
course.
stuff. Really, really do appreciate it.
Of course.
I mean, the grinds, the way you've looked at this stuff, like your
Yeah.
methodology is really, really kind of awesome, really smart, especially from your perspective. The fact that you know your
Yep.
numbers about like that 97%, like that's pretty legit, man.
Yep.
And then get into a bigger boat faster, and you only fail if you give up. My quote there, like "Man in the Arena" by Teddy Roosevelt, like that's one that I go to, which is very similar to the concept. I don't want to be the
Yeah.
critic. I want to be the guy in the arena, like in the fight,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
win or lose. Like, dude, I want to live, man. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's the fight
Yep.
that I want to be in. So,
Love
dude,
it.
so much thank you for jumping
Of
on and
course.
sharing my birthday with me. So,
Yeah. Happy birthday.
again, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Sweet. Thank you.
I told you that was a good conversation. So let's listen. Let me look at my notes here a little bit from our conversation. Like starts in California. I remember what he was saying is, I started, it was so easy in the beginning. He had 2 years of 0 deals. That's him cold calling like all day. And he had 0 deals. And he talked about how easy it was. Like it was pretty easy to get started. 0 deals in 2 years, and then he did 8, and then he now does hundreds of deals. Talk about that scaling side, but it sounds really like he is way into this grind, right? You got to have those healthy habits, get into that rhythm. His advice there at the end, sometimes instead of answering those difficult emails or conversations when it's just off, go for a walk, take a minute, get that perspective, and then get back in with a little bit more clarity to go knock it out. But man, his idea about investing in the Midwest, maybe going for slightly smaller margins, and then working with volume. I mean, that's really great stuff. Using a mantra there of you cannot fail if you don't give up. Guys, this is so true. So, man, really, really thank you, Antoine, for jumping on and having a conversation with us. I want to say thank you to all of you guys. So this is, it happens to be my birthday when I'm recording this. So this is 1 year of me interviewing guests. Our first guest I ever interviewed was Dave O, followed by Sean McCloskey, and now here we are with Antoine. So it's been a wonderful year of interviews and conversations with people. So I want to say thank you guys for playing along and growing. I also want to say a huge thanks to all of our vendors. We have Lois Manns with Farmers Insurance. We have Adam Dairaghi and the CRS property team. For property management, Greg Manns with Upright Construction. If you're going to do it upright. We have Jason Hudson with Red Maples Construction. We have Peter and Tom with Essex Mortgage. Actually, I just closed something with them yesterday. So it is fantastic that these guys are in there helping and promoting us to promote and support me, which hopefully can go and support you guys. So please, guys, go out there, take a look at that life roadmap, build your roadmap, and get involved in life. We love you guys. Talk soon.